It's episode 103 of the Improv London podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Moses, and this week's guest is Chloe Dall Olio.
Hello, Stuart.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's my first podcast, so I'm quite excited and very happy. And thank you for inviting me today.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's my 103rd podcast, and I'm excited too.
Congratulations!
So, thank you very much. You're perhaps best known for being part of Gamache.
Yes!
Is that the correct pronunciation?
Gamache. That's it.
So tell me about Gamache.
Yes, so Gamache is this new house team that Steve Rowe created. It's a kind of collective. It's like 22-ish of us.
22?
I know. It's a short form group, and it's really, really fun. We auditioned, and he created this really nice group, and we're rehearsing every other Saturday, and we already performed a lot at the Miller, at the Hoopla Comedy Club, and we're just getting better and better, and tighter, and it's getting more fun, and it's amazing. I'm so happy about that.
So you're playing short form games?
Yes. Basically, what we're trying to do is to think of games that are seen and super seen and got maybe a bit boring in the improv scene, and try to reinvent them. So try to see them in another light, or try to change something, tweak something to refresh them and make them interesting again. So we kind of experiment every time we do rehearsals. Is actually thinking of a game we saw performing or that we thought of, and just trying it, failing at it a few times, and then just making a new game. So changing the name, changing the logistics, and create new fresh stuff.
That sounds amazing.
For example, a really popular one that we all love is called Netflix and Chill. That comes from a sort of like pan left structure of the game, but we created a whole new thing that is, there is a couple watching Netflix, and there is sometimes there is this Alexa, which is Google, that changes the channels and asks for genres to the audience, and there is the rest of us on stage performing the genres that the couple does. But the couple asks for like the snack to start with, and it's a little scene of the couple, and then how they interact with the Netflix program. It says like that. Okay, and it's really fun. So
that's really interesting. With Pan Left, you've got 4 people, 2 people at the front, maybe doing an emotion. Then everyone moves around 2, and then you have
it's totally different from that.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a sort of, I like the way what you've done there is you've taken that idea, and then you've kind of given it a new twist.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
And last Saturday we had rehearsal, and we started choosing games for the show in the evening, and we started just coming up with new names. Anyway, it's really fun. So every time you go there is something new that we announce being a new game, and you're like, what's that? And then you kind of recognize it, but you sort of not. And you re-engage with all the games that maybe you saw before, but you see them with a new light, and that's really, really fun.
Yeah, that's very exciting. I've heard you're doing a game where instead of starting with, say, 4 people playing a scene, removing one person and doing it with 3, you're doing that in reverse. So you're starting with one person,
yes,
and they're doing a scene to other people we can't see, and then they replay the scene, then they add people in each time.
Exactly. So one person starts on stage and creates a dialogue, creates a scene, creates some emotions on its own, and 2 people are outside. Then the second person comes in. They have no clue of what's going on, and they have to basically kind of react to the first person, but the first person sticks to what they did. So if the first person is looking left, saying something, the second person needs to kind of like run in front to try to fill in the gaps somehow. Fill in the lines, fill in the gaps. And so when they finish this scene with 2 people, they keep the same structure. Person 1 does the same thing, person 2 does the same thing, and the third one has no clue what's going on, comes in and try to fill the gaps.
That's brilliant.
So at the beginning this was kind of called 1, 2, 3, but now this is one of the ones we changed the name. Now it's called Marta Blonde, like Matt fill the blanks, like you know what I mean? Like we have fun creating. So it's like filling the lines and the gaps of a scene from 1 to 3. I don't know, it's really fun as well.
Yeah.
We actually rehearsed it for the first time on Saturday and then decided to put it on stage Saturday night.
Yeah.
Also because usually you would rehearse a lot before putting out something new. You would like try the format many times. But in this kind of team, Steve is really keen for us to just like go with it, like to just, I don't know if I can say that word, but basically just like be crazy with that. And something really, really cool that he said to us at the last rehearsal is, for example, if you see a car parking, and maybe you're like, okay, fine, it's like a Fiat 500, okay, it's indifferent to me. But if you see the same car coming to you like really, really fast, going 3 rounds around where you are, doing, how do you call it, the rubber things on the floor? How do you call them?
You're asking the wrong person.
Anyway,
here.
that
handbrake turns.
Yeah.
Oh, that sort of thing.
Does that, and then come like brakes right in front of you, like saying hi, and that's the kind of emotion that Gamache want to give, like that. And then after you see them doing that, you're like, I want that car. The car is amazing. I want to ride with them. You know what I mean? This kind of like whoa, craziness we want. So yeah.
Yeah, no, he likes that. It's sort of, I think it's a kind of clowning kind of thing where you're on that sort of edge of chaos and these sort of unexpected anything can happen sort of thing. So, wow, that's really exciting.
So yeah, we are all super buzzy and excited about this, but still really committed. Like committing is something that it's part of it as well. So for example, if we miss a rehearsal, we're not allowed the shows for the next 2 weeks. Like it's something, and the only rule that we have, apart from listening and yes-ending and all the basics, no, it's just to be on time and to respect, like to just be there and commit your time to that. As he's doing it, we are doing it, and it's what keeps us together. So it's not just fun, but it's fun and commitment and growing together and trusting, building the trust, bonding as a team, all these basic things that probably are just granted for some people, but it's never enough. It's never reminded enough, I think.
Oh, definitely, and definitely just the being on time. Just be on time for rehearsals and workshops. Just be on time.
Yeah, exactly.
I know things happen, but
but I have to say we're all really good at that. We care so much that we basically are almost all on time. So it's working. Like we start on time, we're all there, we give 100%, and then you can see that we're all super happy to be in the same place and sharing the stage and sharing everything. So yeah, it's such an amazing experience. It's just started really recently, but now we're officially like out there. So it's really great to celebrate this moment and yeah.
Well, what have you learned by being in... So have you been in other improv groups before?
Not really. I'm kind of forming a new one, but it's still undercover, and that's more like narrative.
Oh, brilliant.
But it's the first short form for sure.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot,
what have you learned by... because obviously you've done improv classes and stuff like that, but what have you learned that's different by being in a group as opposed to just being in a class?
Okay, let me think. So something really good about this group is that Steve decided to have a mixture of really expert improvisers or people that did it for like a long time together with newbies, sort of. So for sure we learn a lot from each other, and that's great. So for example, I don't know whether to name or not people, but like it's really amazing how they teach you a lot about their experience, and at the same time, for us it's not even going through the basics, but it's like discovering the improv world kind of like from the first time and giving that energy and that kind of like sense of curiosity and novelty that inspires them at the same time. I heard, so that's great. It's a kind of like growing together with someone that has more experience, but at the same time with people that are still discovering it day by day. What I'm learning as well is a lot of new reference and a lot about like English culture that I didn't know before, because and that's amazing. Every time I do a scene with someone, for example, that is in my group or generally English, and when they do reference to like something that you had a TV ages ago or some movies or something, every time I feel like after that I go home, research, watch the movie, I feel like I'm constantly growing and I'm learning in that way as well.
What have you watched?
Well, for example, and this will be weird for geeks and amateur, like lovers of Star Wars. I've never watched Star Wars before,
Right.
but then after all the scenes where they're based like in space or like sci-fi things, I felt the urge of starting watching movies and videos and stuff that broaden out my world, and I love it actually.
Oh, brilliant!
So no, yeah, or even just like chatting with my team after at the Miller, and then asking them what's the best scenes or things from English comedy that they recommend, and watching them and like getting in that mindset. And then when someone mentioned or refers to them somehow in some, like getting it, like I feel I'm constantly learning somehow. So that's it from being like not English improviser. But what else am I learning? Well, I don't know, so much. I don't even know where to start with. But yeah, that being in a team and commit together brings you somewhere, I think. Yeah,
I found that when I was doing more short form than I am now, I went through that phase, and I have always lived in this country. But you know, there were always references that people would make, and because I'm the sort of person, I would then do as you've done, is go home and then I'd watch it, because there is a joy to be had from watching an improviser improvising from a reference or a suggestion that they don't know. That can be joyful as well. But there's also a lot of fun seeing someone that does know a bit about the thing as well. So yeah, I share that kind of like, that sounds interesting, I'll go home and I'll research that sort
but
of thing.
still, when you are in the scene with someone and that happens, you have to just like come up with something or try to do anything and try to justify it. And most of the times it becomes funny anyway, because you maybe respond to them with something that the audience doesn't expect, and that becomes anyway a bit like hilarious, because they're like, oh my god, that's not what that means. But yeah, I mean, it's the joy of being in the put on the spot in that situation, and also the joy of knowing that there is much more that I can get from it. So yeah, this kind of double joy.
Double joy, that's
double
my favourite
joy.
type of joy. And I have to ask, where does the name of your group come from?
It comes from the fact that we are taking games and revisiting them, but I think the first or the second rehearsal, when we were sending out of the room one or two members of the team while we were doing a game, we started all saying games, 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 and then it became a thing. And every time we did rehearsals at the beginning, everyone was just like games, and we were kind of like encouraging each other doing that. So at a certain point, Steve was like, "Okay, maybe we're gonna call the name the team Games, because that's the essence of it, probably." So yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's really nice when something organically kind of develops during rehearsal, and then you kind of get a group identity that way. So that's really cool. Cool. So how did you get into improv in the first place? What drew you to this?
Okay, so I studied acting in Italy for a long time, but I never came across improv, to be honest. Or if I tried to always kind of avoid it, because I was scared, because I've always found it difficult, and also because in Italy there is not such a like improv community, so it wasn't really a thing. So I've just done more traditional like method acting and stuff, and then I moved to London, and I was doing different jobs, and I was really like not doing acting at all, until someone I was working with that was doing some courses with Hoopla. Actually, she's an improviser, she's called Suzanne, and she kept telling me that like I should have tried a course with Hoopla or a workshop or something, because she thought that I could be like into it somehow. So one day, that was like 2 years ago or something, one day I decided to try one of these like intro workshops with Steve one Saturday, and I just remember I was laughing from the beginning to the end. It was just the most joyful day, and I thought, okay, I've never laughed in a workshop for so long and like uninterruptedly. This is amazing. I want to do more. So I didn't take a long time before deciding to sign up to the beginners.
Yeah.
And I did the beginners with Jonas, and then I started enjoying it more and more and more, and going to see the first show, the second show, slowly, and then. Well, I've done more or less the usual thing. So I've done the performance course, and then more and more and more and more shows, and it just became addictive, as I think it is for many people.
Yes.
So now I'm at the point where I try to go at least 2 or 3 times a week, and I've done more courses. I tried courses that are not with Hoopla, like for example, I've done a shoot from the hip course.
All right, cool.
And other things to complement these. And I don't know.
What was the shoot from the hip?
It was great. It's 2 of them. It was Tom and AJ, and they do this quick and on the same vibe of Gamache, like quick and super fun games. They do half of the time games and half the time long form, and it was just great. It's different games from what I learned, and it's different things, and they give feedback. They're really fun. It was great. It was great.
Cool.
It was great.
Yeah.
So it was a good addition to my toolkit. Addiction and addition to my toolkit. But then now I just booked for another. Yeah, I mean it's just addictive again. And every time I see a show at the Hoopla comedy club that really fills my heart. For example, Playground last. Thursday or Friday with Maria and Laurie and all the other amazing ladies that perform there. I just get so mesmerized that I just want to book courses and do more and more. In fact, at the end of the course, I was like, okay, what's on Hoopla now? Okay, next one. Susan Harrison is doing a character course soon, and I'm like, okay, booked. It's just like never ending, and I feel that I'm learning, and I feel that that's what I want to do more and more.
Brilliant.
So yeah.
Excellent. So you mentioned that you trained as an actor. Do you find that's helped you with improv?
It helped the fact that good question. Maybe, I don't know, I'm less shy on stage by default, probably. But at the same time, like when I do jams, sometimes I've done a couple of jams, like for example with Duck Goose or at Hoopla. Every time I'm on stage anyway, I feel like a kamikaze. Like I feel like, what am I doing? Oh my god, this is terrifying. So it's not true really that I'm confident on the stage, because it's something totally different.
But there's something different about being in a jam than being in a group, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, when I'm in a group and I'm on stage, I'm a bit more confident. But at the same time, I have the fear, or like, not the fear, but I'm still doing it in my second language. So I still have the worry of not getting the word right or not getting the reference. So sometimes when they suggest me like a word, I'm like, what's that again? So I always have the fear of not 100% understanding what's going on. But so far, actually, it was okay. And the 2 times that I messed up, that was fun at the end, and I learned from it. So that was great. Anyway,
can you remember what the words were that you didn't know?
What was it? Yes, I had to do a mini solo scene with 2 people, like a wizard doing a driving lesson to a kid with low voice, and I had to like do both parts.
Right.
And I was, so basically at a certain point, the wizard had to say to the boy to take the steering wheel in his hands and do it and drive. And I didn't know steering wheel. But it was something really quick because I had to do it in a minute. So I said something like, okay, you take in Italian you will say volante in your hand, and da-da-da-da. And then the kid said, what are you talking about? We're not having an Italian lesson, we're having a driving lesson. What the fuck? Da-da-da. And then I justified it, and that turned out to be funny anyway. And then I finished the scene, and then I was like, what have I done? But then at the end, that was good anyway. So they told me many times, I'm allowed to use Italian words if I need, because that's not the main problem of the scene. It's just justifying it. Or like many, I don't know. So many. What else? or maybe locations like Benidorm, which is
right.
a big thing here in England. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
So I had to do a whole narrative showcase course based in Benidorm. And then I based it in a museum, contemporary museum, and everyone was laughing. It was like, there is no museum in Benidorm, Chloe. Like, this kind of... But then it works out.
But that's the beautiful thing. It's like, that's much better. I know you know this. But this is much better than having everyone just doing an accurate representation of Benidorm. That's fine. But having somebody having a museum chucked in Benidorm, that's hilarious. That's just like, and what a wonderful gift for everybody else.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well... This is it. This is me for a bit now. Yeah.
On your website, you are described as an energetic Italian actress.
Yes. Yes. Tell me more about it. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can't tell who gave that description of myself, but generally. Oh my God, I don't want to self-praise myself, but anyway, I have a lot of energy. I'm a morning person.
This is the place to do it.
Oh no. Anyway, I'm a morning person, so I think I naturally just wake up full of energy and full of happiness. Probably have a high level of serotonin, maybe that's why. So every time I wake up in the morning, I just feel like I can do anything.
Brilliant.
And even if it's not the case, probably. But I mean, with that positivity, and that helps, I think. So and also, I was having a chat yesterday with someone, and they said to me that, like, one of the best thing that they appreciate of me is, like, this positive energy that I keep having, and it's always there, even when I'm tired, because being a morning person, then by the time it's evening after work, and I have to go to rehearsals, or when I do anything in the evening, I don't know, even if I'm really tired, I manage to have the energy like just exploding, probably because of the passion of what I'm doing. Because like if I don't know, in other situations I might just fall asleep, or I might just not be present 100%, but when I do improv or when I do acting, or when it's something in this kind of like zone, I tend to just be there 100%, even if I just had a long flight. I travel a lot for work and for because my family is in Italy, but even if I've had a long flight and everything, if I then go to rehearsals, I give 100%, and I don't know, that's it probably. I'm Italian because I'm Italian. I'm from northern Italy, and that's why, and that's it.
That's brilliant. That was a really good explanation. I generally find I am better in the mornings, which doesn't make you really very popular with anybody.
I know. Right, especially in the weekends. Like I'm off, guys. One drink, and what is Friday night? Yeah, but you know, what do you have to do in the weekend? Well, rehearsal and that and that. But anyway,
I sometimes feel that I've missed out on opportunities in life because I'm not good in the evening. I'm better in the morning, but less happens in the morning than it does in the evening. Anyway.
Well, we work with what we have, right?
Exactly.
So
you mentioned work. So you do sort of social media, video content creation kind of thing? Tell me about that and improv.
Okay, that and improv, yes. So I work for beauty brand, a makeup brand called Trini London, it's fairly new. We launched in October, and it's founded by Trini Woodall, which some of you might know. Trini and Susanna, that decided to rebrand herself, and from television, pass through social media, and then like hit the makeup and the beauty market. So basically I started working with her a few years ago now, helping her building this social media presence and helping moving her following on TV online, and then going from there. And with the creation of the creation of content that could be helpful with that. So all the content that we create for all the platforms, both for Trini herself and for the brand, are again energetic and fun. They need to have this educational part, but they also have this fun part. And the more spontaneous and the more real and authentic, the best, and the more engagement they have. So basically, I'm in charge of creating and maybe organizing the creation of content for Instagram, Facebook, all the social media channels. That because it's an online brand, that's the main marketing tool. And I'm in charge of Instagram stories. So basically, if you go on Trini London Instagram, I'm there every day just telling the story of the brand. I'm kind of like the brand storyteller.
Brilliant.
And And then, I never plan anything. I just go around and try to catch the things that could be interesting and then have a conversation with my colleagues. Or we do like improvised makeup tutorials where we know the 2 products we're using, but we don't know anything else we're going to say. So it's just like having a chat and discovering together what we could say. So, I don't know. It's funny because at work, they call me, my nickname is Improv. So they're like, oh, where is Improv? Oh, it's lunchtime. Improv is cooking. Like, it became such a thing, you know? That's really fun.
That's a really great name.
I know. And so it's just a matter of like being in the moment, being authentic, and be positive in what we are trying to say. Yeah. And that helped a lot. In fact, the videos that are less planned and more kind of like natural are the ones that get more engagement, and the ones that have a lot of us of the team being part of it. So sometimes it's like 3 or 4 of us from the office wearing, I don't know, the same color and talking about what look we will go for. And no one is allowed to plan anything. So it's usually Trini comes in the office and she's like, okay, let's do this. So we go outside, take a camera, phone, whatever, and we start chatting about it. So it's super, super kind of like in the moment and improvised. And I think that, I kind of contribute to that a lot, let's say. So that's not all we do. Like, it's not all, but that's a part of my job that I really enjoy, that I feel that helped with improv, and improv helped with that. So it's something cool that is kind of like cross-pollination between the 2 things.
Love it.
What a world.
So so if we've got listeners who want to be more successful on social media, either to promote themselves or their improv groups, can you give them some tips? What would you suggest?
Well, it depends what kind of industry they are in. It depends if it's more a visual industry or a ideas and lines industry. I know that a lot of improvisers are mainly on Twitter, whereas I'm more on Instagram, for example. And it's like, and someone is more on Facebook. So it depends on what kind of like platforms works best for your business, let's say. Collaborations is always a really good thing. So doing your own thing, create very good content, because then people that get to put money behind it, they have to put money behind things that are naturally successful. It's called like warm audience or warm content that is really good itself, and then it can be pushed. You can't just like do something like not putting efforts on it and then put money behind it. It doesn't work. You really need to create something that is authentic and fun and educational. I think in every kind of industries. And then
educational, that's an interesting one.
You need to give a tip, always need to give a nugget, something to take away with you. So it's not just the fun, it's also something that people can take home and think about and learn from. So that's this combination is key. And then be honest somehow. Content is key. For me, content is key. More than the other less authentic things. And collaborations. So you have your own audience, you have your own thing, but then if you find people that, you're the perfect example, and then creating dialogue with people from other disciplines, and then share or teach or have a dialogue with them about what you are passionate about, and they do the same with you. You introduce to your audience that other new thing that is really a plus for them, and the other way around. And then so you get my followers, I get your followers, and then we give something extra that it doesn't need to be in the same industry as well. So that's probably something that takes to success, together with commitment and regular, being regular, being having a kind of routine. I was just gonna say, it also makes it easier if you've got a routine that you put a podcast out every Wednesday morning. Exactly. It's actually easier thinking, okay, I know I've got to do this, because it's like having a habit. Whereas if you had to start motivating yourself from there's nothing to do every episode. Whereas I'm like, okay, I've got a Wednesday coming up, I better get something recorded, I better get something edited. It gets easier for you in the creating the content, and it gets easy for the audience to follow you and to know that, to associate you with Wednesdays, for example, and think, oh my God, Wednesday, it's Tuesday tomorrow, it's the new podcast from I'm very much hoping that is what people are doing. Yes, of course. And then once you get some audience that is new, you will be able to then show what you have. Like, if you can hook them up with something that is over their interested, then they discover the whole world. Like, for example, I did with you. Like, I didn't quite know. Yeah, when we met at the Meisner workshop with Steve, I heard of you and everything, but I didn't really listen to any of the podcasts. And then you told me that Steve was in that one about the Meisner, and I listened to that, and then I scrolled through and I'm like, oh my God, that's almost 100 episodes. And then I started listening to them and getting involved, and now I'm your follower, let's say, with like, you know what I mean? And now, with one thing that is of my interest, you got me into the funnel, and I'm now part of it, and you can give me more content, and I will be more loyal to you now. You know what I mean? It's, I mean, it's a long kind of thing.
Well, how do I get people? I mean, I'm happy to talk to people individually and get them into the funnel that way.
Yeah.
That seems like an inefficient way of operating, but it's fine. I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you're right. It didn't occur to me first, but it did occur to me once I'd started doing this that actually having a different guest on each week is the perfect thing from social media, because hopefully I can hook in your fans, and then every week I've got a new set of fans which I can try and introduce to the podcast. Yeah.
So collaboration is key. So you're doing an amazing job, to be honest.
Thank you.
So well done. Yeah.
Thank you very much. If someone was to go on stage with you, maybe in a jam, maybe in a show, what could they do to delight you?
Ooh, probably give physical offers, meaning I love movement, I love, like, given again English is not my first language, so I'm not necessarily someone. I talk a lot, as you can see, but
that's
if
entirely the right thing I want from my podcast.
Oh my
guests.
God!
Those guests that don't say anything, those are really hard.
Great, great. But like, I don't know, two things I'm really that can really delight me, like emotions and connecting with emotions, as we've seen in the Meisner course. Like, everything that is related to emotion, it's like I'm amazed with. Like, when I was at middle school, I was like the friend, like the psychologist, the one that was absorbing all the emotions from the class and then giving advice. And then, I don't know, like, I think if my in another life I was a psychologist. Like, I'm quite empathic, and I love to see what goes on in people's like brains and hearts. So that's something I love. So an offer that is like emotionally charged, if you can say so. And movement and sound and movement is something I really love. So like, if we do something where we are like, I don't know, animals or even abstract identities, and we just like create something, just connecting and not necessarily having a witty, punny idea, but go on stage and create something together, look at each other in the eyes and see where we are and see what kind of like connection there is, and then create from there. That would make me really happy. That would delight me.
Yeah, I find it very hard to be witty and punny. So those kind of scenes I find very hard to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you connect to a really basic level, to a really primitive level, more than to a really heady level, I prefer. Probably because like it's more my strength, that you know what I mean. But at the same time, because it's more joyful to discover something together. So not coming on stage with something that it's gonna be your idea, that is something really specific, reference to something specific that you want me to pick up, and that's a bit but if it's something that we just do a step and you look at me and I look at you, and then we do another step, and then we just create something that's really fun and like challenging, but at the same time delighting for me. So maybe something like that.
Cool. Unless of course it's Star Wars, which you're now able to
yes,
now you're up to speed on it. Cool. What would you say was your signature move? What is it that you do that saves the day, that brings the house down?
Oh my God, your famous signature move. I didn't think about it. I should have, given that I knew it was a question. Well, again, it could be just fuck up, I don't know if you can say, but mess up a scene, not knowing what word it is, and just saying it in Italian and then whatever. Or maybe that's one. Or just dancing around. I like to just jump around. So I don't know. I'm not prepared. But like, it would be an Italian word, and then that I have to justify in English probably. That's my signature.
I mean, there are many of these signature moves I feel that we can learn from and adapt for our own use. I think of that one, it's going to be a lot more effort than it's probably worth. But, if you do already know Italian, then yes, use an Italian word and then justify it.
I'm not, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. Like, I don't know. Just dancing together could be my signature move. I don't know. I still have to find it out. Be on stage with me and you will find out.
Well, that sounds a marvellous invitation. I should look forward to that. Cool. So, I think big final question time. Have we covered everything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think so. Just go and see Gamache. We are on at the Hoopla like every week, more than once a week, like 2 or 3 times a week, depends. And part of us is cast every evening. So come and watch us. It's really, really fun. And if you feel like short form games like are not your thing, come and you will just change your mind and get into it even better, even more.
Yeah, no, I'm a big defender of short form because I do think it is looked down on sometimes, and it can be joyful and it can actually have a much more reliable hit rate than long form can. But what it hadn't occurred to me was that it needs just a little bit of reinvention, and that's really exciting that Gamache is doing.
Yes.
That. Okay, big final question: what would you like the future to hold in improv? What would you like to learn? What would you like to do?
Big question. I think just carry on listening to each other and sharing and being emotionally honest with each other even more. I don't know. And the future should have Gamache at Fringe in 2018 and 19 and and no, generally in improv. Yeah, I think it's amazing. I don't know. Just more of what it is. Just keeping it fun. Less headed or less complicated and more fun and connected and listen. I think the basics of ESN and listening, they're never explored enough, or they're never repeated and explored enough. So they need to be there all the time. And then from there, just creating, maybe even more festivals, more international. I discovered I'm a massive fan of North Coast that came to Hoopla last year, and they're coming back again. And they called me on stage and they interviewed me for their scene, and just the energy that they give. And something really interesting that Steve as well said is trying to always be positive, even if you're tired. That thing that he said in your one of your episodes was just like, wow, that's true. We tend to complain a lot, but we actually are really lucky to be where we are. So instead of complaining, we just need to be more positive. Even if we are suffering somehow, we are there, we are lucky. Just be, how do you say it? Not pride, but proud.
Use the Italian word and then justify it. Oh my God!
Yeah, exactly. I can do it. Grateful.
Right.
Grateful. Be grateful to be there and to perform and to just spend time with people that are sharing your own interests and your own passions. Yeah, I very much took that advice from Steve to heart in that, there's never been a time when I haven't felt tired or ill when I'm about to do improv. So just, be grateful that you get the chance to do it with these wonderful people doing this wonderful thing that makes us feel great. Yeah. So, yes, be grateful. And never stop having fun. Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah. Brilliant. Yay! Thank you for being a guest on the Improv London podcast. Thank you. Bye everyone. Thank you very much. Gamache. Bye.
I made this.
That's improv.